Welcome back to First Watch, the series where I shuffle through a list of movies I've never seen before and I review them one by one each week. And this week, the film randomly selected for me this time is the 90s Disney sports film Cool Runnings. Shout out to Jacob Martin, who reviewed this film back in the summer of last year for his Celebrating Disney series. I'll leave a link to his review in the description box below, but he praised it as one of the, if not the, best sports movie of all time.
This is a contender for one of the best sports movies ever made.
And as Andy Samberg would say as Nicolas Cage,
that's high praise.
When it comes down to sports movies in general, though, I cannot say that I'm usually in the target audience. But I thought I'd give this one a chance. Let's get cracking. Cool Runnings tells the true and remarkable story about the first Jamaican bobsledding team in the Olympics. As Jamaica never really sees snow, this made them a true underdog when it came down to the winter climate scene in the Olympics. And to help coach them on how to get it all right, they turned a disgraced Olympian Irv, played by John Candy, and together they form a team of unlikely bobsledders. Let the games begin. While I appreciate Jacob's enthusiasm for this movie, I'd hardly call it the best sports film of all time. I believe that nostalgia was probably a big factor into his enjoyment of the film, as he saw it when he was just a kid, and rewatching it, brought him way back. It's not a bad movie by any means. It has a strong message of game morale, It's not whether you win or lose, but rather how you play the game in the moment, and how you just enjoy life, enjoy the friendships that you have, and the things that drive us in life in general. This is actually incredibly important in terms of how society sees games these days. It's insane. I work in a news studio and I have to deal with multiple sports games going on simultaneously, and the atmosphere is always the same. It's always business all the time. Who has the skills? Who wins? And that's all that ever matters. If somebody loses, they're deemed the losers, which isn't a stat but rather a label. And it's one of the reasons why I don't really care for sports these days. Nobody can ever shake hands and say good game anymore. And the spirit of this film definitely conveys that love for the game itself, which is fantastic. Also, John Candy as the coach is wonderful. Anytime that he shows up in any kind of movie, it's a treat, and this is honestly one of his best performances that I've personally ever seen. I haven't seen many, mind you, but I did think that he had a fair amount of range here that helped any audience member really relate with him as a character and care about why he's so passionate about bobsledding in general. As a film about bobsledding, while we're at it, this feels original. I can't really say that I've seen many bobsledding films. Heck, I didn't even know about bobsledding until maybe I was 30, a few years ago. That's because I never really paid that close of attention to the Olympics, especially the Winter Olympics. And it's a crazy sport. People died, and I was hoping that feeling of danger would be found in this film as well, and for the most part, it's not. As a 90s Disney film, it's incredibly lighthearted, it's goofy, it's fun, and while that helps the atmosphere of the film maintain that message of having fun and just enjoying life and enjoying playing these games, it's a little bit different in the context of the Olympic Games, which are some of the most competitive, stressful, serious games ever. Like I said, it's life-threatening at times. If this was more of a drama that realistically showed the challenges that these people had to go through, their emotional and psychological state as they attempted to persevere in the face of the racism that I'm sure was also involved in the late 80s, would have been absolutely stunning. And at that point, one of the best sports films of all time. But because it's hidden behind the veil of sappy Disney, so much of the true story was just kind of glossed over and ignored. There's reports that maybe 1% of the movie was what actually happened in real life. From what I read, there's this bobsledding crash that happened in real life, and it also happened in the movie. And that's basically the only thing that truly happened, other than the fact that, obviously there was a Jamaican bobsledding team in general. And of course the crash is the only thing that happened. It's dramatic, it's serious, it's scary, it's life-threatening, and heck, it's also the best part of the movie as well. So while I had a good enough time with the movie as a whole, I don't know if I'll ever care to rewatch it. I would love them to retell the story in a more realistic, modern, and cinematic way. There is a story to be told here. There is. I just think that it could have been told a better way. With that being said, let's go ahead and break down my final score for Cool Runnings, which I gave a B-letter grade to. Final overall score of 78%. 78 out of 100 possible stars, which is not bad at all. I'd say that it's fairly decent, even though it has some cheap and maybe sometimes cringy stuff going on behind the scenes. It's definitely something that feels aged. But it's not bad overall. I just think that it wasn't done in a way that I would have hoped for. As for YouTube fellers, let me know what you thought about Cool Runnings in the comment section down below. Do you love it? Do you hate it? Or maybe do you find it somewhere in between? What, pray tell, is your favorite sports film of all time? Let me know, and as for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, hit the subscribe button, and hit the bell for the next time that I come out with my next installment for First Watch. And until then, peace out.